Hi, I'm Pat Nash, and I want to speak to you a little bit about dreams, about hope, about maybe giving up or wondering why you haven't moved forward. Someone asked me, how did you get here to be a relationship coach? It actually came out of a need for myself and what I observed looking around after I asked myself a couple of questions. Why was I not doing the things that I wanted to do? Why had I gone through divorce? Why am I not doing anything that I set out to do? You see, as a teenager, as a young person, doing pretty well in high school, I had all of these dreams set out for me. I was going to take over the world. But at some point, life happened. I realized I was not the only one. You see, there's a lot of us who stopped hoping, who stopped dreaming, who stopped chasing our dreams or going after our dreams because we don't have to chase anything. When we look internally and figure out what it is that's holding us back, the sky's the limit, and you don't have to chase anything. You attract it. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to Pat Nash Talks. If you guys are on, share. We're going to get into some great conversation. I'm so very grateful. If you were on here last Sunday, you met my beautiful special guest for tonight, Dr. Kyri, and of Dr. Kyri Listens. And you guys know Pat Nash Talks, Dr. Kyri Listens. So she is the yin to my yang. I love her so much. She was right here with me Sunday, right on the couch right next to me. And I just am still vibing from all the great vibes. I want to thank you for that, by the way. And tonight is all about her. Pat Nash only talks is going to be listening to Dr. Kyri, who listens. John's back on. My brother's back on.
Wow, awesome.
Hey, Lanzine. Look, my diamonds are on tonight. Yay.
Awesome.
So, and I'm so very grateful, Dr. Kyri's fans and people who love her are going to be on listening tonight. So we're going to get a chance to hear more from her. How are you doing on this beautiful hump day? It is Wednesday, correct?
It is Wednesday and I'm doing awesome.
I know, it's evident. I'm looking at you. You're over there glowing.
Thank you.
So yeah, and I'm over here. This is not a glow. This is oil. No, I'm just joking. So so I am so excited. I'm gonna jump right in.
Okay.
A lot of people from last week, we did an hour and it went by. How fast does it seem like that went?
It felt like it was about 20 minutes.
Right. Right. And it was because someone who was chiming in, I'm not going to call him a hater. Someone who was chiming in was like, well, y'all were having too much fun. You didn't answer my questions. So I'm going to ask those questions that people want to know.
Sounds great.
Who exactly is Dr. Kyri? Who is she? I know about her cookies. I know now Dr. Kyri listens. Who are you? If you had to introduce yourself, what would you say?
Well, I'm Dr. Kyri Mosley. I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York.
Yes.
Yes. And I own an organic cookie company called Kyri's Cookies. We are Oprah's favorite things. And I think one of the most important things about me is that I am a psychologist, one that focuses on trauma, just trauma, in different facets of it.
Hi, Kim. So I'm glad you said traumas because at first I know a lot of people deal with childhood traumas. So
That's
I was
correct.
so excited that you were coming on. I kept saying she's going to deal with childhood traumas. And they were like, but what other traumas does she deal with?
That's right.
And so I think you were talking to me. You named things that are common, like PTSD.
Yes, I did. And trauma, first of all, let's just define it, right? What is trauma? Trauma, it can be something that happened, disturbing, something psychological. So that's like the mental side of it, the one that we hear about most of the time. But trauma is also physical. It can be an injury, right? So it can be an injury that took place that also can be defined as trauma. Any type of wound or cuts, or even from surgeries, any kind of remaining scars that we have would be considered trauma to the body.
So that I didn't know. That I didn't know, and I'm sure a lot of people didn't know that. What traumas have you noted lately, or that made you okay? I told you I was going to ask you this. Why? Why now? Why did you choose traumas? What made you choose that? I mean, as your discipline.
Well, for me, first of all, I experienced a lot of trauma growing up, and that would be considered childhood trauma. So it's anything that would be cause any kind of disturbance or being distressful for me. And so because of my physical, emotional stress that I deal with, and experiences that I've had, I wanted to create a platform that would allow for mutual reciprocal healing, right? So that it's not just about someone coming to sit on my couch and I'm not having the opportunity to share my life and share the things that I've been through. Then we can talk about the physical traumas that I've gone through. So I'm a stage 4 cancer. And so that has really had an impact on me emotionally and physically. There are injuries that remain. I have the right side of my body has severe nerve damage. So that's trauma. That's trauma.
Yes.
And when we think about trauma, it ranges in, various things. So you could talk about, of course, you could talk about childhood abuse, right? So that could be one area of trauma that you're dealing with. But the other things, we could talk about domestic violence,
Yes.
right? We could talk about adoption, because believe it or not, that has an impact on not just the family, but the child themselves. And so there's a traumatic experience and sometimes feelings of abandonment, which is also trauma, right?
Right.
And so in addition to that, you could have someone who was sexually assaulted. Does not have to be that they were assaulted as a child, but it could be. It could be someone that was raped, right? It could be someone who was incarcerated. And as a result of it, they deal with different traumas as they introduce themselves into society.
Right.
So yeah, there's all facets of trauma, and Dr. Kyri Listens is going to cover them all. We are not going to just focus on childhood trauma, but we have some amazing guests that will come in and talk about surviving the various traumas that they've been through. So
I love that. And that's good news that they're talking about surviving. And you used another word other than surviving.
I call it thriving.
Yes, I was waiting for you to say it, like surviving and thriving.
Surviving and thriving, two different levels in life.
Yes.
So often we are just grateful because we're surviving. But I want us to take it to the next level and to live lives where we thrive, right? And we're able to just move past, set goals,
yes,
talk about their dreams, right? Because even as your show started, it was talking about dreams.
yes.
And sometimes people forget their dreams because they've been through so much emotionally, physically, and so they put their dreams aside. And so it's really my desire to help people cultivate their dreams again and talk about the things that they want to experience in their life outside of the trauma, because life does go on. It does go on.
And you are going to highlight that. That's what I love. And I want to say hi to Kelly. I think Kelly and Ursula popped on and say, hey, ladies.
Hello.
But I want to highlight that too, because you said you're going to bring thrivers on, because in all of this world of bad news, I think it's beautiful. And I'm going to have to bring up something that shocked me. You guys, do you know there are people who survive traumas and actually feel guilty about it?
That's correct. And I'll share about that. It's actually something that I battle with. It's called survivor's guilt.
Yes.
And, oftentimes people are like, oh, you should just be grateful that you made it through. That doesn't negate my gratitude. And I think that that's so important for people to understand. Just because you feel guilty, what occurred is there were three of us. Three of us who were battling stage 4 cancer. We all had different types of cancer. And I lost two of my friends, and I was the only one who remained. And I found myself very, very I still feel it. I still
I
feel.
know I could tell you when you talked about it before.
Mhm.
Hey, Dawn. Hey, Janine.
Um, I felt guilty when I went to the funeral services for one of my friends
Mm,
because she had young children. She had an amazing husband.
mhm.
And I could just see, the pain that they were in. And so I sat there and I just couldn't stop crying, not for her, for them. And
Mhm.
then just working through remaining grateful that I was here, still able to have a second chance at life. And so that's
I
just
thank God
something.
for that, though. I thank God for that. We
Yeah,
don't know. We can ask on the other side. We can ask the Creator on the other side
right.
because there's some things we'll never have an answer to.
That's right.
But I can say, with the life that you were granted, I'm
Mhm.
looking at all the wonderful things you have done, from baking these cookies for tribes, for making healthy cookies that taste good. You guys, they are not calorie free. Ask me, I have a couple of rolls right here. When she said they're organic, I'm like, okay, that means I can rebuke the calories like my sister does.
Mm-mm.
Eat as many as I want. No.
No,
Doesn't
no,
work that way. But
no. Everything in moderation.
I'm thankful that you're thankful. And
Mhm.
I had to understand. And when you explain it, and I see the emotion in you every time, that there is a such thing as survivor's guilt. Um,
Yes.
I didn't tell you this, but I lost a very good friend as she was waiting for an organ. Uh,
Mhm.
and she said to me, "Hey, Mary Goolsby, our diamonds are in the house."
Yeah.
Um, she said to me, Sister Kyrie, she said, "I am dying." She knew it. And I
Mhm.
saw her a couple of hours before she passed. And she
Mhm.
said, "What I regret is you invited me to come to Atlanta and to spend time with you.
Mhm.
I never took the time. And I regret that. And I want
Mhm.
to apologize to you."
Right.
And she said, "I just wish I had gone." So
Mhm.
her passing passed on to me a desire not to die with regrets.
Right.
And I see you have that same drive. You guys, this is so
Absolutely.
scary. In our, I guess you would say, in the frequency that we're vibrating at, we're
Mhm.
attracting people who are like us. This
Yes.
beautiful woman is so much like me to the point that we love the same kinds of food.
Yeah.
We had pancakes for dinner.
Thank you.
We had pancakes for dinner. We like the same stuff on. Thank you for sharing, Janine. We like the same stuff our on our sausage.
Yeah.
So it's so funny how you were
Mhm.
born in New York. I was born in Oklahoma.
Yes.
You went through your own different types of trauma,
Mhm. Yep.
which made you a specialist in that trauma. I went
Mhm.
through my own types of trauma in
Right.
relationships,
That's
which
correct.
made me want to give back in that area.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
if we could walk away from anything, not that we're walking away, y'all, we got a lot more to go. But if we
Yes.
could walk away with anything that you and I went through, is that when you go through it, by the way, you don't look like you went through anything. You don't look like what you've been
Mhm.
through. You're
Thank you.
absolutely gorgeous. You're
Thank you.
glowing. I love it. And I think that's because we're givers. It's the life that we want to give and
Mhm.
pour
Yep.
ourselves out. So with that being said, how did you choose your guest for the show?
Wow. Honestly, I felt like in the last couple of months, I have just been, I guess I'm attracting them, to be
Mhm.
honest.
Yes, yes.
That is what's happening. But I sit down and have a conversation with them and realize that they have so much to offer,
Yeah.
so much to give. And it's such an opportunity to allow other people to see that we can
Mhm.
go through difficult times, but in those difficulties, we're able to be examples to others, to persevere,
Mhm.
to have resilience. And
Yes.
everybody's situation is different. One of the things that I've learned and over the years, we could go through the same exact thing. And when I say this, say you were sexually assaulted
Mhm.
or you were abused by a parent, right?
Mhm.
Everyone has their story to tell. It's not going to be the same.
It's not.
One, not the same. One person is going to say, well, my mother acknowledged her what she did, and I forgave her.
Mhm.
And yet there'll be another to say, my mother did not acknowledge
Denied it.
it. And so understanding that this space, this safe space, I'm very excited to offer a safe space without judgment.
Right,
And
right.
too often, as people being on the outside looking in, you look at someone who's been in domestic violence,
Mhm,
you
mhm.
tell them what they should have done and what you would.
Right. I've
And so
done that, and I
it's
felt bad. Mhm.
it's inappropriate, right? And so I want us to learn appropriate behaviors through this, to learn what we don't say,
Good.
that we don't victimize the victim, right?
That's so
Um,
good.
and so I'm excited because I know that the people who are my guests,
Yes.
I have been very, very specific about not asking the details. So
Mhm.
you guys are going to be learning the details at the same time.
Love that. I love
And
it.
I just I just want to be present. You understand? Like
Mhm.
I've been on so many talk shows over the years, and I just really recognize that it's a lot of stage things and how people do certain things, and so
Yes.
I want my guests to have the opportunity to share it with me at that same time, so that I can be present with them, um,
Yes.
and whatever that means. I remember one of my patients, an amazing woman who is now my sister. She is
Yes.
my dear sister.
Yes.
And she had gone through, so I worked with patients who had AIDS or HIV.
Mhm.
And I was typically the one who would give them their diagnosis. And they would
Mhm.
give me an opportunity to learn their story and understand what they went through and what led them to this space. But one of my patients, she, amazing, amazing spirit. She was my first patient. I tell you, we went through 2 boxes of tissue. We
Mhm.
cried and we cried and we cried. And at the end of it all, we became sisters.
Mhm.
I was no longer her doctor, even though she wouldn't stop calling me her doctor. But we crossed that threshold, and we were really when I went through my diagnosis and I was going through my recovery, she literally left New York and came to take care of me. So she became,
Beautiful.
she became my sister. And so these experiences, I understand the power in reciprocal healing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
understand that I don't have to be, I'm Dr. Kyrie. That doesn't matter. I can be vulnerable. I can cry with you.
Yeah.
And and so that is the kind of space I wanted to create. Not so much that I'm counseling anyone.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
Um, that's not what this is about. Like I would not do that publicly, right?
Thank you,
I would
Bonita.
not
Need to say that's
counsel anyone. It's a privacy issue for me. So even though I'm not, in the hospital setting, I recognize the importance of having that private time.
that's
And
beautiful.
yeah, so I'm looking forward to what I'm going to learn from
Yes.
my guests. And
Can
I
I say
have
I love that idea? I love that idea. I'm gonna say hello to Kelsey, Don, and Ivy before I forget too. And
awesome.
um, um,
Mm,
our sweet little Carmen says she's praying for her organ, and she's gonna
yeah,
pray that her survivor's guilt is not
that's
that
right.
bad. And I
Mhm.
think it's because she's seen people with her condition that have transitioned out of here too.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I think it's beautiful that now she knows that could possibly happen.
Oh, it
And
will happen. It
right,
will happen, but now she knows she's going to be prepared
yes,
because it's
yes.
just natural, especially because when we're going through this different ailments, we
Mhm,
build relationships and we build
mhm.
strong relationships because there are the people who can actually relate to what we're
Yes,
going through. So it's a different bond that
yes.
you establish. Hmm.
I'm not crying. I'm just
Mhm.
but what I love is that you said it's a reciprocal healing, and
Mhm.
even not on the medical side, on the relationship side. I think
Mhm.
that's why I became so open with
Mhm.
my pain,
Right.
because when you're sharing your pain and the fact that you do get better and that you do heal and that you
Mhm.
do get stronger, like you
Yeah.
said, it gives people something to expect. Because I've
Mhm.
told people who are going through divorce that sometimes you're going to feel like somebody died.
That's
like there
right.
was a death. It's like a mourning, even if it was a bad
Correct.
relationship.
It doesn't matter. That is very
Right,
natural. Very
right.
natural.
And you
hmm
feel like you wasted time. So there's regret there. Like
hmm
I did all of that and it didn't work. And
Right.
so I think when someone is transparent like you are, saying that I was feeling guilty about surviving, or
hmm
someone who on my end that is transparent enough to say that even though it was bad, it still hurt. Hey,
hmm
Quanalia. Uh,
Carly.
yeah, Quanalia, thank you,
Oh
thank
my
you.
goodness. Okay,
Yes,
I'm gonna stop for a moment. I gotta stop for a moment. I have to stop. Okay, so Kelsey, first of all, Kelsey is my first guest, and I'm so grateful for you to be here, baby. I'm so
Kelsey.
happy.
I cannot wait, Kelsey, next Sunday.
And then
Story.
Q, quality good friends. So, whew, so this is my baby. Yes, my girl. This is my baby. I mean, we grew up together.
Oh, really?
Yes, yes, yes. That is
Yeah,
my
it's
baby
beautiful
sister.
when
I
that happens.
absolutely love her, and I am so grateful. Thank you so much.
Oh. So
Thank
Kelsey,
you.
finally, y'all
Mhm.
make sure you like and share because
Yes.
I am
Mhm.
going to get better at sharing what's coming in the future, like what you're going to be
Awesome.
talking about next Sunday and what I'm going to be talking about next Sunday.
Mhm.
Because if
Mhm.
I can say anything to you, what I hear people so often say, next time, let me know.
Okay.
Share, share, share. And sometimes you don't even think about it. You're like, well, they know what time I get on, but people forget.
That's correct.
So, you guys, next Sunday,
Mhm.
Eastern time, is it going to be 1 Eastern?
Eastern time, 1 p.m. at 1 p.m. Eastern every Sunday.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then, of course, I'm going to air it here because I'm going to like and share. And then I'm
Yes.
on it. I'm on Sunday night. So I always say, as far as Level Up Nation, we're both on Level Up Nation.
Mhm.
She loves you and she's proud of you, sissy. I
Thank
know you
you.
can see that too. But we're the bookends of some wonderful shows. You
Mhm.
start out with reciprocal healing.
Mhm.
I end up with reciprocal loving. So we're going
That's
to be healing and loving and healing and
mhm.
loving and everything in between. That's
Yes.
going to happen
Yes.
on Level Up Nation. We're part of a family of shows. And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful thing because we're giving and we're helping people.
It is. Mhm.
Another thing I want you to share. See, this is the beautiful part about knowing a little bit and what she takes for granted is so
Mhm.
very beautiful. Thank you, Margaret. Margaret says very relatable.
Margaret! Oh my goodness. Okay,
You're chiming in. Please tell us.
I don't know what I'm gonna do on Sunday because when I see, ooh, Lord Jesus, when I see people's name pop up, it just does
Oh,
something
isn't it?
because I have real relationships with these men and women, you know.
Yes,
So
yes.
okay, I'm
That's
sorry.
what I tell people. I know y'all popped on, but we don't see you unless you say something.
That's correct.
Well, I asked one of my girlfriends to come on tonight. She goes to bed early, and
Mhm.
you may be able to give somebody. This is on the spur of the moment advice. She lost a very dear friend
Mhm.
today from cancer, who leaves behind a husband and a child or two or whatever. And
Mhm.
she, as a friend, is really, really hurting.
Mhm.
So as her friend, um, I I didn't know what to say. I'm telling her Felicia's chiming in too.
That's
Um,
my sister, my blood sister, Felicia.
Hi, Sissy.
She's my
Sissy,
twin.
I'm over.
We
I
were
don't
born on the same day. We were born on the same day in a different year, but that's my sister. Mhm.
but what advice would you give? I mean, how could she help Kyrie? Because right now she's hurting.
Mhm.
In disbelief. Of course, I hate cancer. A lot of other people hate cancer, and so I'm choosing on my side to do everything I can do to fight it
Right.
before it comes. But
If
once it gets
it will
here,
not come.
what can you do, or what can you say, or what helps? I don't even know. But with you being in that space, what
Mhm.
can she do to help that family, and
Well,
what can I do to help her?
as far as her and helping the family, it's just I'm gonna say to be a great listener. And the reason why I say that is because during those significant losses,
She's on. Alicia's on.
hello, Alicia. Hello,
Yeah.
sweetheart.
Great.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm
Yes, yes,
sorry.
yes.
Um, But I would ask you to be present. Be present for the family when everyone else is gone. When everyone else
When
steps away.
everything else dies down and people are gone.
Yeah.
So,
Make those calls and ask to spend time with them, because it's something real special about spending time and mutually having a love for someone and being able to share stories. Oh, remember this and remember that. It's nothing like it to be able to just brighten your heart and share positive things about the person that you both love. So I would recommend that you be present.
thank you
And
for saying that.
and Pat, I would recommend that because she's pouring into other people, that you begin to pour into her, because she's not going to have the space to grieve when she's with them. Because that's what we do. We bottle it up because we're being present for those we feel are closer, especially the children and the husband. And so we turn off our nozzle, right? And we don't really deal with what we're dealing with. And so she's going to need her friends to give her that space that she can talk. She needs to have that freedom to talk about being angry, about being disappointed. And she doesn't need you to provide a solution. She just needs you to listen. I think that's one of the things I've learned over the years.
I have none. I used to say no words. I have no words. And Kimberly Jones Holt is speaking to you too. All three. So and Reginald, they're all coming in. Thank you guys for supporting her, and you're going to be there for her on her debut show next Sunday.
Yes, Sunday, not next Sunday, November 3rd. You know how culturally some of us say next, and we're talking about the following week, and some of us say the day. We're talking about the next one coming.
It is the next one coming, right? It's the next Sunday coming, right?
It is the next Sunday coming. It's the next Sunday coming.
Yes.
But it's Sunday. So
the 3rd.
It's Sunday the 3rd. Yes.
No confusion, so they'll know. But everybody's like, let's go. Hey, Orlando. In the house.
Oh my goodness.
Amen. Just your presence makes a difference. So I think it's something neat that you said. A lot of times I have no words. I don't. And that's unusual for me because I'm a talker, right? I have no words. And I used to, when my baby brother, both of them passed away, and my mom and my dad and my uncle, and it seemed like over 3 years, we were just losing people left and right. I hashtag no words. You have nothing to say. You have no explanation. You just sit in that sadness. But what helped me is what you said. I had to focus because some people thought I was not grieving, but the way I did it and survived it, I had to focus on the good times.
Yes.
And that's why I say right now, you guys, because of who I am and a motivational speaker, I would say right now, make memories.
Oh, how are you?
No, right now, make memories. It's all about making memories because I don't want to say it's a gory thing to think about, but we're all going to travel that way. Every last one of us, none of us will escape that, which is why I encourage people to pour it all out while you're here. The experiences. Don't have any regrets. If there's something kind you want to do, not mean stuff like, oh, I always wanted to slap her. No, not that. But not that. But if it's something that you love and you want to do, it's never going to be the perfect time for it. Make memories with your kids, with the people you love, which is why I like to travel and see different things and experience things. Why I like to just sit on the couch and talk to my friend Kyri. Put our feet up and talk about life.
Yes.
Some people might think that's nerd stuff, but it's reciprocal healing.
It is.
Reciprocal healing. Kelly says she needs some cookies.
No.
Thank you. And no is a complete sentence. We're not adding nothing to that. Look, if she said to me, because she knows I have remorse for the extra weight in my waistband. If she can say no to me and she loves me, she can say no to you, Kelly. Just say.
Yeah, Kelly know I love her.
Yes.
It's funny we talk about the perfect timing, and no one can believe that I'm doing my talk show now. Like,
yes,
oh my God, you have so much going. You have so much going on, so much going on. Like, why would you want to do this now? And what I found for myself, being in this field, one, you tend to just give a lot of yourself. But what I've learned since my remission is that I have to choose me, right? And that in choosing me, it doesn't mean that I don't choose others. And because it gives me so much joy to be present and to listen, I cannot not do that. I can't not do that. I took the last couple of years off. In fact, it's been more than a couple of years. My goodness. 2019 was when I was diagnosed. And then we started Kyri's Cookies 2021, and I made a deliberate, intentional decision not to do any counseling, not to work in healthcare, because I wanted to be focused. I wanted not to be double-minded.
You wanted to be present in that particular.
Yes, because I felt like I had to, because Kyri's Cookies has been around for so long, and it's been behind the scenes for so long, since 2009, right? I just wanted to give us the best chance to make it. Right. And now I just feel like I'm at a space where I'm in a place of peace and resolve, that I've done my very best when it comes to Kyri's Cookies, right? Yes. And I am not going to not share myself with other men and women who need someone to listen. And the theme of my little tagline is healing begins with being heard, right?
Yes, yes. Speaking of healing begins with being heard, I'm going to read her stuff first. I'm going to read Kimberly's first. She says she understands trauma by death and experience survivor's guilt. Yet I'm a witness that Kyri listens. She always listens to me. So I'll be there Sunday. Love you, sis. Thank you, Kimberly. That's so beautiful. And share with people, whether you think they need to hear it or not, because it's so funny. It's little nuggets that you get from people, and you never understand who needs that nugget or how it's going to be used, because the message is going to be different for several people. Right. It's so funny. So many people are going to hear the story Sunday, and they're going to know who you are, and it's going to affect different people based on what they need. I do know, and I totally lost what I was going to say. So that's why it's good to write stuff down or get the.
Amen, sis.
Okay, good. She was diagnosed, and so I'm assuming you're in remission.
She is in remission.
Praise God.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Every little bit helps. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Now's Darlene too. And she had a loss, and learning to deal with that. And I don't even think she would probably call it survivor's guilt, but you do ask the question, why him? Why my husband? Why my child? Why mom? Why? And a lot of times you survive, or you're still alive, and you're thinking, why not? I mean, why it didn't happen to me, but it happened to them. You know what I'm saying? So I have a new term, survivor's guilt. And now I understand where it comes from, because when you said it to me the first time, it was foreign. And I'm like, as a survivor and a fighter, why would you have guilt about that? But it makes perfect sense now.
Yes.
You love them, and they fought just as hard as you.
That's correct.
So
not one didn't fight any less.
Yes.
But what I was saying to you is that, like with Kyri's Cookies, consistently, I have my customers that come in just so we can spend time and I can help them. And I'm like, okay, it's time.
They come for cookies and conversation. That's what we need to put down.
That's what they call it, cookies and combo. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't hear people talk about survivor's guilt. So I would love, I'm going to put this out there, and you can do what you want to with it. I would love for you to have some people who come on sometime and talk about the effects of survivor's guilt and how they got over it. Because Todd is laughing at me. How they got over that? How you get over?
What I can say, Pat, regarding it, I don't know that, and I want to make sure we all understand this. When it comes to trauma that we've experienced throughout our lives, we get through it, right? But we don't get over it. And I think that's really important. So even for myself who suffers from survivor's guilt, sometimes I just say, God, like, I'm just so grateful that you chose me. So I try to live my life in a manner that would honor him, right? And that will make my friends proud. And I don't stay focused on myself. So hence, right, Dr. Kyri's listening, is an opportunity for me to help other people. So you even assaults, we forgive, we move through the situation, but sometimes we still have triggers. Sometimes someone could say or do something,
right,
and it bring that feeling all over you again. But the difference is once you really recognize what you've gone through, done the work. I think that's something Pat was saying, you got to do the work. You got to do the work. And because you've done the work, when the trigger happens, you're able to identify it and not allow it to control you, as you did in the past. But you still get some of those feelings back.
Lord, I am not going to deal with Kelly talking about trauma is watching the Falcons play every Sunday. See, you got one in every crowd.
One in every crowd. She has to be part of Level Up Nation. Why does she have to be part of Level Up Nation?
I know. We're going to take a vote. Look. Anyway, what I was thinking about as you were saying that, Kyri, I didn't even know what I was doing to survive. But what happened as I was losing people, I started being grateful and started feeling like I owed it to them.
Yes.
They wanted to be here. I owed it to them not to walk around sad, not to walk around complaining and not fulfilling or even going even harder, because I feel like I owe it to them to live my life because they would do it if they were here. And Todd has a question. Let's ask my sweetie. He says, Kyri, can you touch on how generational trauma affects us? Good question. And it may prevent us from dealing with our individual trauma, generational trauma.
Oh my goodness. And I would say
very good question.
Very good, very good. Todd, honestly, it appears through just my time with just people that a lot of times it does begin something generational, something that has happened for many, many, many years. And yes, it could prevent us because depending on our mindset, we can literally think that this is just the way it's supposed to be. And so I encourage people to spend time with other people who are outside of your circle, because it helps you to see that, yes, when I say we all have the same heart, we all dealt with something, and it doesn't even have to be childhood trauma, because sometimes you might not experience your trauma till you're a teenager, until you're a young adult. But no one is without trauma. At least I can say I have never met a being that was without trauma. And don't think of it always as physical abuse. Sometimes it's the mental stuff. Sometimes it's just hearing, or you're never going to amount to anything. You're never going to do anything.
I think that's the word. Those words.
I feel myself. Yes.
Triggers are real, but you learn how to deal with them in a healthy way. Thank you, Kelsey, because a healthy way, because you can deal with them in an unhealthy way through self-medication.
That's correct.
I know so many people that were hurt, and in order to ease the pain, they medicate.
They medicated themselves, and it's funny. They're hurting themselves personally more, right? So for myself, when I was really young, I made a decision not to drink, right? Not to use drugs because of what I saw. So that just seeing it over and over, having a parent that was an alcoholic, having another parent that was addicted to prescription drugs. So not even street drugs, guys, prescription drugs. Like, you could just be in pain and start taking these medications and then become addicted to them.
Right.
I made a decision then not to medicate, because I was always afraid that every time I felt a certain way, I would turn to drugs or alcohol. And so even now, when I'm feeling really, really excited and happy, I'm like, I don't turn to having a drink, right? Because I don't want it to become repetitious. Like, this is what I do. This is my behavior.
You don't want it attached to a feeling, whether it's happy or sad.
If we want to go out and we want to have a glass of wine, we have a glass of wine. But it's not because I'm happy, not because I'm sad, but just because I would like to.
Yeah.
And that's it. So that was a skill set that I learned really early. It had nothing to do with my training in mental health at all. But Todd, really as an individual, I found that a lot of us have generational things that have transpired multiple generations back, and making a personal decision that I'm not going to repeat this. I'm not going to abuse my children.
Mm-mm.
I'm not going to be alcoholic.
Hi, Lauren.
Oh my goodness.
Good conversation. Thank you, Lauren. Now, Kyri has her tagline that you're only as healthy. How does that? Healing starts with being heard.
Healing starts with being heard.
And I tell people a lot of times in relationships, you're only as healthy as the secrets you keep.
That's right.
So it's kind of similar, because I know a lot of us were raised in homes where you don't tell people what goes on outside of this house.
Right? Yes.
And some of the stuff that's going on inside of the house is atrocious.
That's correct.
It needs to be told to somebody. And let me put this on the line. In some religious circles, they have this thing about don't uncover them, especially in a husband and wife situation. If you're a wife and you're telling that your husband is not treating you properly, and you tell someone outside of your home, you've uncovered them. And that is a sin, and that is not good, and all of this craziness. I'm telling you, I know, because I've heard it over and over and over again.
And I'm telling you, I know, because I also experienced it. When I'm saying no, that it's not appropriate. No, it's not right. Not that it doesn't exist. It's unfortunate that happens.
And thank you that you're brave enough to say it, because a lot of us who love and we understand no one is perfect. Not even church people are perfect. Not even
people are not perfect.
Yes, no one is perfect. Thank you, Mary. I'm excited too. So with that being said, I think it's more honorable to admit I'm not perfect, but I still love God. I still love serving people. But I'm not perfect, because now you don't put anybody on a pedestal. You don't put anybody above anybody else. You understand we all put our pants on one leg at a time. Or if you're really skilled, you jump into them like Beyonce does. But anyway, Kelly saying most keep their trauma silent and tucked away in fear of that same trauma being used against them. We talked about that too.
That's correct. So it's about that safe space, right, Kelly? So you got to find someone who you can speak to, and I can definitely say you can speak to me, and that it's safe, so nobody's going to be able to use anything against you. And some people have things tucked away, but some people have them tucked away because they don't remember. You understand, like it's something that they
a little bit, because I've heard parents who abuse kids and they say it never happened. It never happened.
That's correct. I'm not trying to tell all my stuff I'm not even on my show yet, but I will tell you that's something that I personally dealt with. It's hard, like when you go through physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse, and then when you do speak to the person who harmed you, and they say they don't remember. Well, we know they do remember. They do remember.
So you think they remember and they didn't just suppress the memory? Okay, so they remember.
Everybody's situation is different. I can only tell you in my situation, I know that they remember. But you have some people, not so much the person who was the victimizer, but sometimes individuals have gone through so much trauma that they tuck it away. And it's only circumstances. Maybe they get married and their wedding night.
Then it comes up.
They discover I don't like to be touched that way, right? And so now it's unraveling because they had not dealt with it. So there's a lot of people. I am right. That's right.
Yeah, I think it should too, because even on the relationship side, I'm not going to even just say marriage. I'm going to say people who want to attach healthily to someone cannot understand why they don't like certain things that seem unreasonable. But I bet if they would dive a little deeper, it's because something happened and that is considered a trigger for them. And that's why they won't like it. I mean, nice things like somebody doing favors for them or doing anything. Don't do anything for me. But why? This is a nice thing I'm doing, you know?
But in that situation, they could have seen consistently in their home where every time someone did something for the other person, they would throw it back in their face. Oh, why you didn't do something? I did such and such for you, and I did this. And because they've seen that behavior, they don't even think it's healthy that someone who loves them would do this for them because they're going to want something in return. Right.
Yes.
So that's where those things come from. And a lot of people don't know. There's so many of us who have experienced different types of trauma in our lives, and we don't know where it comes from. So that's why I say you have to do the work, right? I'm fortunate to have guests coming on who have experienced things, who have done some of the work, but we may find in our discussion that there may be other things that need to be talked through because that's something new, that they didn't do the work for. So
somebody's like on their show right now trying to watch ours. Who does that? I'm on my show trying to watch yours.
I love it.
Kimberly, thank you.
Love it, Kimberly.
Kimberly, you can watch it after we're off. And for those of you who watch it after we're off, say replay. So we know you watched it on the replay. We didn't just ignore you. Say replay and then hit the like button, share, and subscribe because you can subscribe. So when you get on Dr. Kyri's show on Sunday, we can go back and say, okay, they did see the intro and you're already friends. You're already friends of the show. So we didn't start right at the top of the hour. So I'm going to say we have a few minutes. So in closing, I'm going to give you some subjects and I hope other people will do the same. You guys hit Dr. Kyri up, hit me up, anyone on Level Up Nation and say, ask Dr. Kyri or ask Pat or somebody should talk about this subject. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news right now in headlines. And I don't know if she said she got 5 devices to see.
Thank you.
Thank you. I would love for someone to talk about children who are abused that abuse other children, kind of how they make that jump and how they reason that in their mind. Because like you said, because something was done to you, you definitely don't want to do it to anyone else. And how could someone who has been a victim like that turn around and victimize someone else? Do they think it's normal? Or, I mean,
Yes, I was going to say, Pat, it's going to be different for each one of them. But one of the things, a lot of people's growth is stunted after those violations.
That's what I heard.
The maturity is not there. The maturity is not there to understand that this behavior is frowned upon. Yes. In fact, they may not see themselves as a victim. This is just something that happened to them. You understand this? So they're going to make it happen.
It's just something that happens. It's a rite of passage. I think Mary J. Blige or someone said, or I don't know if it was Rihanna, they said, hey, I don't want to talk about it. It's just a rite of passage. Like, it's normal. You're going to go through this when you don't have to. There's other stars that said, I chose not to go that route. Yes, I didn't have as much success. I got blackballed or whatever, but I chose no for me. It's not a rite of passage, you guys. It's not a rite of adulthood. It's none of that. So, Todd, another good question. Kyri, what techniques can help people go deeper within themselves to uncover forgotten traumas?
Honestly, meditation. Meditation. And what I will say, what I do not like to do is give people techniques to go through by themselves. You really should have someone present.
I agree.
When you are uncovering trauma. So it's time, I say for yourself, if you're not yourself, but for your question, Todd, you can definitely spend time in meditation if you're trying to uncover things that you want to talk about. But I have seen people who have gone into the military and experienced so many things and seen so many things. And when you bring people through that, they're reliving it, and no one should have to relive that by themselves.
That's the rough part. I can't even imagine that. There's something that was so horrible that in order to remember it, is that necessary to heal though? Do you have to bring it up and deal with it to heal?
Most of those people that I've spoken to are not able to sleep at all because they keep and they're trying to suppress. And so sometimes you got to go back to go forward, and I say it's essential to talk about those things. I have a gentleman that's coming on to talk about things that he experienced as a Marine. And he's not going to do it by himself. He has to have one of his comrades with him because that's how traumatic the experience is. They have to feel like someone who understood, someone who's been there, can be present during that discussion. And so I'm very grateful that I'm even having the opportunity to have that discussion.
To bring that forward.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know we got to go, but we can talk about things like this all day long, probably on and not even end. I can say I'm grateful because I have a limit when I have two people sitting in front of me who want the relationship to work, and one of them is so damaged and triggered from so many things. The other one can't love them through it.
That's right.
They have to go to a professional who is trained to walk them through it and heal. I have one last question for you, coming from a relationship coach, and I see it, and I wanted to refer them to you. We're going to wind down right now, but we're gonna close out in a couple minutes, and I want to refer them to you. Do you recommend that the person who is dealing with it go through it alone, or should they have their spouse there to understand more clearly what they're going through?
There's stages. And so initially you want to give that person their individual time to talk about what's going on without anything hindering them. And so when they get to a point where they want to bring their spouse in so they can have greater understanding, then you bring their spouse in. But that's the right way.
Okay. So Kelly, we're going to have to stop somewhere. She want to know, have you ever encountered resentment from a patient who you were trying to help? I think, yeah, a lot of times I have. I have encountered resentment from people I'm telling the truth to. I mean,
yeah, you have that in real life. I've been very, very fortunate that my clients, my patients have been very receptive and grateful.
Yeah. They generally are, but sometimes when you first call them on it, when they no longer blame anyone else for what they're doing and understand it starts here, they do that. But we got to go and see how fast this goes. It's like, we just started. Where are we going? But that's why we do it every week. So you guys, if you want to hear more, Dr. Kyri, please tell them again where you're going to be going forward.
I am going to be right here on Sunday at 1 p.m. And I will tell you all at the end of my show, you will have a number that you can text my team. And so if you want counseling or coaching, further discussion, you'll be able to reach out to me directly.
Excellent. So you guys, we have to go. I hate to. So I want to say, as always, I wish you love and light, peace and blessings always. This has been a wonderful time. Thank you, Dr. Kyri of Dr. Kyri. Thank you for being a part of Pat Nash Talks. I love you, and I cannot wait to hear all the beautiful stories that you're going to bring forward of people thriving. So with that being said, you guys, good night.
Hi, I'm Pat Nash, and I want to speak to you a little bit about dreams, about hope, about maybe giving up or wondering why you haven't moved forward. Someone asked me, how did you get here to be a relationship coach? It actually came out of a need for myself and what I observed looking around after I asked myself a couple of questions. Why was I not doing the things that I wanted to do? Why had I gone through divorce? Why am I not doing anything that I set out to do? You see, as a teenager, as a young person, doing pretty well in high school, I had all of these dreams set out for me. I was going to take over the world. But at some point, life happened. I realized I was not the only one. You see, there's a lot of us who stopped hoping, who stopped dreaming, who stopped chasing our dreams or going after our dreams, because we don't have to chase anything. When we look internally and figure out what it is that's holding us back, the sky's the limit, and you don't have to chase anything. You attract it.